Coming up on the Empowered Woman podcast.
I'm not kidding when I say put it out there. Talk to people. Go to these events. There are so many events I go to, and I'm like in the mirror putting my makeup on going, oh my God, I don't want to go. I just want to put my pajamas on and just literally like daily. And then I go, and there's a reason I went, and I make that one connection that changes everything, right?
Welcome to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on personal growth, visibility, and profit for women entrepreneurs. If you're wanting to get empowered to be seen, stand out on social media, stages, TV, and more to make an impact with your voice in business, you're in the right place. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Marta Spurk, and I'm your host, empowerment coach, visibility and marketing expert, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode. Hi, Nikki. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me, Marta. I'm so excited to be here.
I am super excited as well. We connected through a mutual friend. So one of my clients was a guest on your show, and I was like, I need to get in on this show as well. And you interviewed me, which was super fun. I was listening to the episode the other day, and I actually need to share it with my sister because I said some pretty cool stuff about her and how grateful I am for her in my motherhood journey. I love what you're about and what you do. I am so excited for us to be sitting here today talking and also to be partnering up in my upcoming event to support the nonprofit that you created. So I want to hear all about it. So tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Nikki Brooker, and I am the founder and CEO of YANA, which stands for You Are Not Alone. We created this nonprofit back in 2017 after 2 local moms here in Colorado took their lives and the lives of their kids. And we decided at that time we really needed to do better. We need to support our moms better and create systems where moms feel more comfortable being themselves, as opposed to putting on the Instagram face that everything's so great and wonderful. And so we've been a 501c3 for 6 years in the state of Colorado. And we started off with a pretty simple support system where we would have moms come together. We were kind of loosely based on the AA model. So we'd have moms come together and build a community of just a network of moms, because over 70% of moms who give birth in the state of Colorado are not native to Colorado. So that's kind of one of those things that people go, what? And then they start thinking about it. And they're like, oh yeah, nobody I know is from Colorado. And it's kind of one of those things that if you're not from here, you don't even think about it. Yeah. And so I have some listeners actually on my podcast that were like, why do you always like make a big deal out of somebody being like a native? And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, it's a big deal here. And so anyway, we had these gatherings and play dates, but then COVID put a stop to those, obviously. But then we offer every mom a support person, because we know how isolating motherhood can be. We know how difficult it can be doing it in a silo. And so we want to make sure that moms have someone to turn to. And that program, like I said, we've been doing that for 6 years. Now we're starting a new program because we were finding that the moms of kids with different ages weren't making the connections we were hoping for. When you have a mom of a 5-week-old and a mom of a 5-year-old, they're not in the same world. And so we said, how do we get the moms to all have babies of the same age? So we decided to go straight from the hospital. So we created a hospital program called Strong Mamas Thriving Babies. And we give moms a full year of wraparound support so that they get other moms who have just had babies as well, all the same age. They get an app to communicate with each other and plan play dates. They have phone calls from peers who are just checking in on them. But it's a 12-month program where every mom gets whatever level they're looking for. Like, it's an a la carte kind of thing. They can take and leave whatever they don't want. But it's really changing motherhood one mom at a time, because when we don't support the people who make the people, our society really falls. So that's our new program. And we are about to launch with one of the local hospitals.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that is so amazing. I love what you said. If we don't support the people that make the people, we fall apart. Right? And it's so true.
We fall apart. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, right before we started recording, I mentioned to you how I always say that getting married, having kids, and starting a business, or in your case, starting a nonprofit, which, my goodness, I can't even imagine all the loopholes and all the things that you need to go through. it really shows you what you're made of, right? It holds up this ginormous mirror in front of you, and you can't really escape yourself and the things that you need to work on and pay attention to. So I'd love for you to share, whether it be through your nonprofit journey or whatever it is, in throughout the years of your life, certain aspects about yourself that you have noticed and how you've been working with yourself.
So that's such an interesting way to put it, and a really interesting thought process for me to have, because for 22 years, I was an educator. So I have a bachelor's in education, a master's in education. I taught at a college. I taught everything from kindergarten, preschool, actually, everything from preschool to college, and you name it in between, like everything but high school. I couldn't do high school, but I did the babies, I did the elementary, I did middle school, I did it all. I was an assistant principal of a K-H school in the projects of North Denver. Like literally, you name it, I've done it. And I always thought I was going to be a teacher forever. That was going to be my second grade teacher told me when I was in second grade, she said, you're either going to be a teacher or a news journalist, like on TV, like on the Today Show. And I was like, no, not doing that one. So I guess I just thought forever I wanted to be a teacher, and I did, and I loved it. But it also drained me to a place that I was like, and my kids didn't get the best of me, and I didn't give the best of me, and my students didn't get the best of me. So I couldn't so what I learned about myself is that I am a master multitasker, but I'm very good at a lot of different things, but not great at one thing. And my husband's a rocket scientist. He's the most brilliant man I've ever met. He can laser focus on one thing, and he is amazing at that thing. And I call myself a Jill of all trades. I actually have 3 different businesses that I run because I'm a photographer on top of that. I have a publishing company because I wrote a book. Literally people start talking to me and they're like, for the love of God, do you sleep? And I'm like, well, yeah, I do. And I sleep pretty well. But when I'm up and I'm going, right? Yeah. I have found that I do have more tenacity than I ever thought I did. Mm. And I think when you are really passionate about something, and I was passionate about teaching, but then it kind of waned, right? And then you just have so many hoops. I mean, talk about, nonprofit hoops. There's a lot of those too, don't get me wrong, but the teaching hoops and the dealing with parents, I mean, right there, that's a hoop right there that I was like, and I'm a parent, right? I have 3 kids, and I'm sure I was one of those parents at times too, but I just realized that I needed to find something that fed me more than it fed others. And I think when I found when I started this nonprofit, I had never planned on, I didn't know anything about nonprofits. I didn't know I was like a 50 what? I didn't even know what it was. And who knew I was going to do this? If you would have said, 10 years ago, well, you're going to run a nonprofit and you're going to save moms' lives, I'd be like, oh, okay. So it's just interesting, the path that I've taken to get here. And, my husband, it's his birthday today, so he's on my mind, but my husband and I have been together since I was 12 and he was 15. And we've been together ever since. We've been each other's onlys. And I think that I'm also a very obviously loyal person, that once I dig my feet in, I am not coming out until something amazing happens. And so I think it ran its course. I think I ran my course with teaching. Yeah. Photography's always been in our lives. My husband and I were yearbook photographers in our high school, and we've been doing it ever since. And I mean, that was back in the days of dark room, you had to roll the film, and then you had to develop the film, and then you had to print the picture. I mean, from the beginning to end. And of course, photography is so different now, but that's my creative side, and my side where I get to make people feel good about themselves. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what I've learned about myself, is when I dig my heels into something, I don't give up until it's done, or it's done something good. Yeah. And this nonprofit is really my life's work. This is my legacy that I'm going to leave behind, that I hope changes the world one mom at a time.
Oh, that is so wonderful. And I see so many similarities with myself as well. And my husband's a Christian, so he knows how to get focused and from start to finish, get something accomplished. Whereas I'm like, oh, let's do this and let's do that. But man,
so that's funny. That's funny that you say that, is because I'm also a speaker. Telling you, I'm a Jill of all trades. I just did a talk with John Elway's Cadillac dealership with all of their dealers. Wow. And I've done this like 10 different times, and I give a presentation on the difference between the male and the female brain, because my master's degree was an 18-month program at Regis, and it was in adult education and development. But for that, they said, pick one topic you absolutely want to know everything there is to know about, because you're going to use that topic for the next 18 months to write all your papers on, your presentations on, your everything. So for 18 months, I like ate, slept, and breathed all of this, like science behind the differences. Mm-hmm. And it is unbelievable. And that's a whole nother podcast, but there are so many important things that we should know about the opposite sex when it comes to parenting, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to sales, all of it. And so I think, and we're missing the boat in knowing those differences, but that's one of them, is that men can laser focus. Mm-hmm. That's how their brain is wired. Yeah. And it's not a negative. I wish I had its focus. I wish I had it, but I'm the multitasker, right? That can do 7 things at once. And he didn't hear any or see any of that, right?
Right. So yeah. No, we need both.
There's all science behind that. We need both, absolutely.
Yeah, and we learn from each other, and our kids benefit from having the two sides of the story as well.
Yes.
It's not always easy, but man, I definitely resonate with that one. Tell me more about the process. Obviously, we talked about the hoops and the different things, and I love that you said I didn't know anything about it, because oftentimes people are like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything, so I can't do it. It's like, how does anyone do anything? They don't know, right? And then they start, and then they learn.
Absolutely.
There you go.
And you know, I'm a lifelong learner, right? I obviously believe in education. I have 2 degrees, blah, blah. And I wanted to get my PhD, but I had 3 kids, and they kind of put a kibosh on that. So I didn't get the PhD, which actually is great, because now I'm doing what I'm doing, and I would have been doing something different. So anyway, to answer that question, I am one of those people, and call me a type A, call me whatever you want to call me, but I am one of those, I see a need, let's fix it. So we lived in Ohio for 3.5 years, and it was one of those, like, long story, but we were looking to get closer to family. That didn't work out the way that we had anticipated, because our family was in Michigan, not Ohio. But I created our own family in Ohio, and I'm telling you, like, it was such a good move for me as a mom, not my husband as a rocket scientist, but me as a mom. And I wanted to start a babysitting co-op. So I found they had one in this community, and I went to it, and it had been established for a good 10 years. So these people were really embedded in each other. And I couldn't really break in, because I was brand new. I didn't know anybody. And I was like, can I just start my own? And this wonderful woman named Beth was like, yeah, I'll help you start your own. And I started one in 2003, and it is, I believe, still going.
Oh, wow.
So then when I moved here to Ohio, or to Colorado, back to Colorado, I was like, I know how to do this. And I started another one. And so I'm one of those people that's like, okay, I see a need. Let's just do it. Right. But that doesn't mean that it's not scary and not stressful and not, oh my gosh, what the heck am I doing? I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing. It just comes down to how much passion do you have in it? And my thing is always to help not just myself, but others, right? Like, how can I help others, and how can I make this make sense? And when I started this nonprofit, I will tell you, I literally put it on my Facebook page, and I was like, okay, 2 moms have taken their lives and lives of their kids in the last 4 months. What the heck? I didn't say heck. What is going on that this is the new norm? Like, we cannot just sit here and say, well, I guess this is how we're going to handle motherhood. And so I put it on my Facebook page, and all my friends, like a lot of my friends, just came in and said, well, what if we did this? What if we did that? Are you thinking about this? And I was like, you know what? We just need to create something. Now, there isn't something like this. There isn't something that's not religious based, because I was a leader of MOPS for years and loved it. And it was a great, but there's a religious base to it. And there's a lot of people that are like, no, thank you. I wanted something that was not on that side of it. I wanted something that was open to anyone. It didn't matter. Right. And so I put it out there. My girlfriend was opening a gym, an all women's gym. Okay. I met this woman through these connections I had made. Her name is Dina. And she was like, I'm starting a gym. Let's partner. And I was like, okay, great. What does that mean? She's like, well, when I'm not using the facility, you can use it. I was like, okay, we have a location. Like, within literally a week of me just throwing it out there, I was like, okay, we have a location. Well, that was easy. I thought I was going to do it in my living room. Like, okay, now what? Right. And then she's like, well, speak at the grand opening. And I was like, Dina, I don't even know what the heck I'm doing. Like, I don't even know what this is. And she's like, it doesn't matter. Just speak. And I was like, okay. So I got up in front of 200 people at this grand opening and I was like, so I'm going to start something. I'm going to start a group. I don't know. Maybe it's a nonprofit. Maybe it's just a support system. Maybe it's just a mama group. I don't know. But if you know anything about this, come talk to me because I can use all the help I can get. And I think that is the key. Being open to saying, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm happy to take your input and take your expertise and see how you can help me do this, right? And so this woman, her name is Julie, walked up to me at this grand opening and she was like, hey, so have you done the paperwork for the 501c3 yet? And I was like, at that point, I was like, I don't even know what you just said, right? And I said, well, I was reading the book Nonprofits for Dummies yesterday. Oh, wow. And I literally like 3 hours later in tears. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know what step one is. And every state is different. And it was during a time of an administration that wasn't really big on helping others. And so I was like, what am I going to do? She goes, great. Throw that book in the trash. I'm going to hand you my nonprofit. And I said, I'm sorry, what? And she said, I have a 10-year-old nonprofit 501c3 in great condition with the IRS and the Secretary of State. We just aren't doing what it was doing. It's been sitting here dormant for 2 years. My husband and I just fill out the tax postcard every year. And I just said to my husband last week, we need to find somebody who wants to do good in this world and hand them this nonprofit.
Wow. Talk about time.
And I got up and spoke and she was there. And I wasn't even going to do that until Dina told me I needed to. Like, it was one of those like, oh, and she goes, and we have $1,500 in the bank and it's all yours. I was like,
oh my gosh.
Okay, we have a location, we have a 501c3, and we literally within 2 weeks, we were a 501c3 with money in the bank and a location. I mean, all from a Facebook post where I just said, I think we should help moms.
Yeah,
so put it out there. When you put it and you know, and when people say that, I'm always kind of one of the, is that a little hokey for me? Yeah. Like my husband, scientist, right? We're very like science oriented in our house. That seems a little hokey. Just put it out in the universe and it'll come back to you. Okay, well, if I am not like the perfect example of how that truly works, I don't know what it is. And you know, the other thing too is after I talked to so many nonprofit owners, they were like 5 years, you won't get funded for 5 years. So just keep in mind, you're not going to get paid for 5 years. You're not going to have any money in the bank, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, they don't know me. I'm going to show them. Yeah, I didn't show anybody anything because it took exactly 5 years and we were funded. So it happens. You just have to know that what you're doing is the right thing and just keep plugging along.
I love that so much. Well, I'd love for you to share some of the achievements that you've made throughout the years, because I'm always seeing your posts. You're getting awards and you're getting all kinds of things in recognition from the community. And, you know, and even personally being proud of yourself, which I think you have already shared, for just putting it out there and trusting, accepting help, which is huge as well, especially for, you know, the work that you're doing and being open to learn from others, and admit that you don't know everything. So share with us some of the empowerment that has happened throughout the years.
Couldn't agree with you more. I'm, like I said, a pretty type A person, but I'm also a lifelong learner. So I'm all about like, I'm confident in my abilities to a point. I think we all are to a point. Yeah. And when you just put it out there and just say, help me, like, does anybody have anybody? I ask for things more than probably anybody else on Facebook. Does anybody know somebody who does this? Does anybody? And sure enough, somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who does this, right? So just the accolades that we've had, first of all, we are totally funded from an individual donor that I met. This is the other big. I tell everyone who wants to start a business or a nonprofit or anything, network. There is, and that old saying, it doesn't matter what you know, it's who you know. It is, I cannot tell you. I mean, that's how we are where we are, right? I put it out there. Dina said, come do this. I opened it up. Julie handed it to me. Like literally, it is all about who you know. And I didn't know all those people along the way, but somebody did. Yeah. And so I had these 3 business people come together and they're like, we want to throw a community event, but we're going to put a nonprofit we want a nonprofit to get money from this. We want to make a fundraiser. And at a happy hour, and they started talking, and I had never met any of them. I had never frequented any of their businesses, but they had heard about me through all these other avenues and through the Chamber of Commerce. Again, can't plug the Northwest Douglas County Chamber of Commerce enough. They are amazing and just huge, great people. And so they were like, hey, have you heard about this Yana thing? Hey, have you heard about Nikki Brooker? Like, it just became this thing. And then they were like, yeah, let's call her. So they call me up and they're like, we want to throw you a fundraiser. And I was like, oh, okay. Who are you? Like, I've never heard of you. So we sit down and have coffee. I tell them my whole story. The one of the business owners, Chris Rodolph with Physio Room, he's a doctor in physical therapy. He was really touched by my story because his wife had postpartum. He was like, how much do you need? And I was like, whoa, wait, what? And he was like, yeah, how much do you need to get in the hospital? And I gave him a number and he's like, I got a guy. I got a guy. I've been waiting 5 years, Chris, for somebody to say I got a guy. And he was like, you want coffee with the guy? I'll get coffee with the guy. I had a coffee with the guy, and the guy's a millionaire, and the guy loves to do good, and he handed me money. Like, wow. I'm not kidding when I say put it out there. Talk to people. Go to these events. There are so many events I go to, and I'm like in the mirror putting my makeup on going, oh my God, I don't want to go. I just want to put my pajamas on and just literally like daily. And then I go, and there's a reason I went, and I make that one connection that changes everything, right? So we were awarded this last year, Nonprofit of the Year for Douglas County. It was a huge surprise, and I burst into tears, and I was so excited. We got funded from this individual who gave us money. On top of that, we just were awarded a big chunk of Douglas County ARPA funds, which is in response to COVID, every state got ARPA funds to regenerate. And one of the things they put it towards was a suicide prevention grant. And we got a really good chunk of that to get started with our program. That doesn't mean we're not still fundraising for sure. We have so many programs we want to get started, and we have so many things we want to do. And so we're still obviously fundraising, but we are very, very close to partnering with a hospital here in Douglas County to pilot our program. And then once we pilot, we want to spread like wildfire. We want this program in every hospital in Colorado. We had once said nationwide. Our lawyers went, oh, hang on to that thought, because there's so many different HIPAA laws. And I'll start with Colorado. I'm going to start with the county, first of all. Let's start with the county, and then we'll go county. But there's no reason why we shouldn't have this for every mom. Europe, Asia, and Canada all take care of their moms, and we don't. And then we wonder why the mental health of our nation is the worst in the world, because we don't take care of the people who make the people. So I'm so dead set on that. And I always wind that into every conversation I have. Yeah, but
so important.
I published a book this year. This last year was amazing. It's called Let's Be Real. And it's truly all the real stuff you need to know when you're having a baby. Because I wrote that for many different reasons. Number one, when I had my first baby 22 years ago, my 22-year-old is in law school in New York City. She's an amazing human being, and I can't say enough about her and how proud I am of her. But when I had her, I was 25 years old, no family around me, lots of friends, but nobody who had kids. And somebody at my baby shower gave me the What to Expect When You're Expecting book. And I literally came home and cried because I thought, I have to know all of that? Like, I'm going to be a horrible mom. And I don't have time to read it. And and I was teaching, and I was full-time, whatever. I couldn't wrap my brain around it. And so I always thought there needs to be a book that's like, no, this is really what you just need to know. Yeah. Like this. And so I wrote it, and I wrote it during the pandemic because everybody was at my house doing schoolwork. And I was like, I want to write a book. And I just wrote a book. Amazing. And I'm very proud of my book, right? It's just I haven't really marketed it much. I haven't done much with it. I had a book signing, party, and it was great. And it was just exciting. And I love that I wrote it, but I want to write another one. And what I want to do is I want to do a series on Let's Be Real and Mama Journeys. So that's what my podcast is called. Let's Be Real Mama Journeys. And I want to write a kind of like the chicken soup for the soul idea, but it's all mama stories so that moms can tell their story, and they can change names. We can change it so nobody knows who you are. But I think that's so powerful is hearing each other's story and learning from one another. And if I'm a new mom with little kids and I hear somebody say, oh, my kid had, a speech delay and he didn't really talk until he was 2.5. And the doctors kept saying, oh, no, he's just slow. Oh, no, he's just slow. But really, truly, he had a speech impediment. If I would have gotten him in sooner, like all of those things that you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Or, oh, no one's told me that. Just having that network of moms. And if you can hear each other's stories, how powerful that can be.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask you for our final question here before my $1 million question, which is coming up, which is the transformation, like stories that you have been able to collect throughout the years from women that were supported, and just like what you're saying, because they were able to connect with other moms and then be like, oh, I'm not a horrible mom. And is there any one specific that comes to mind, or if you?
There is one specific. Yes, she is phenomenal. Her name is Joanne, and she is one of my favorite people. She came to our very first play date. So when we first started Yana, 9 News was there. They were interviewing me and showing what this new thing that we created. And we were at the all women's gym. And, as soon as they left, then the moms started to filter in, because nobody's going to come in the door with 9 News, right? And so all these moms started just coming in, and we were just there as a play date and just get to know the moms and all these things. And this phenomenal mom walked in, and it was obvious she was struggling with some things and was, needed some support. And we sat down with her and we supported her from day one. And she literally burst into tears and was like, I don't know how to do this. I'm so overwhelmed. I have so much going on. I can't. Anyway, long story short, she pulled herself up, and we gave her a support mom who she turned to. She came every week for the play dates, and she could just talk and just like, she's like, I feel like a terrible mom. And we're like, you came here to support yourself and to give your kids this opportunity. You're not a terrible mom. You're making huge strides. We just built her up and built her up and built her up. She came and told us she had a plan. She was going to take her life.
Oh my gosh.
But right before that first gathering, and she walked in those doors, and we changed the entire trajectory of her life and her children and her husband. They are now homeowners in Elizabeth, Colorado, and she's homeschooling her 3 kids and doing phenomenal things. So it's just a testament to not just our program, but how just letting a mom just talk. That's one of the things in our country specifically we don't allow moms to do. We don't allow them to say, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. This is isolating. This is frustrating. I want to scream half the time. I haven't showered in 3 days. We don't get to, because if I tell you all of that, and I go to my 6-week postpartum visit, and I sit down with the doctor and I tell you all that, and I burst into tears, I'm afraid you're going to take my kids away.
Yeah.
And that's not what it should be about. It should be about support and love, and you are doing a good job. That child is alive. You are alive. Therefore, you're doing a great job, right? Mm-hmm. Let's just let moms be and let them say the things, because it's okay to not love every minute of motherhood. If you did, I'd worry about you.
Yeah.
If you said, this is the most wonderful experience of my life, I don't have any bad moments, you're full of crap. Like, I'm sorry, but there's no way. And there's another thing I always say too. Spending 24/7 with another individual, whether it's a 1-month-old or whether it's a 50-year-old, no one wants to spend 24/7 with another individual. Heck, some of us don't even want to spend that with ourselves, right? So why do we just say to moms, well, but it's such a blessing. Yes, it is a blessing, but I don't need to be with that blessing 24/7. Like, I need a break, and it's okay.
It's the truth.
That's okay. That's normal. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's a story right there. That's wow. So powerful. And I mean, I bet that through the hard times in building this and doing all of this, holding on to that one story, and I'm sure that all the other ones that you hear.
Oh, there's more.
It's a big one, right? It's a big one. Like, to know that you were part of literally changing the entire course of a family, not just one person, but whole family.
And not just that one person, but the family. And then the ripple effect of all of that, right? So that's what happened when this first mom took her life. Jennifer Labor took the life of her 3-year-old and 5-year-old, and she picked him up from my kids' elementary school. And so that's how I was weirdly connected to the whole thing. And as I was substitute teaching the very next day, this 6th grade boy walked in and he was sobbing. And I said, buddy, how can I help you? And he said, Ethan, the kindergartner, was my reading buddy. I read to him every week. How am I supposed to be okay with the fact that his mom murdered him? And I was like, let's get you to the counseling center. So as I'm walking him to the counseling center, he looks me right in the eye and he goes, how do I know my mom's not going to kill me tonight? Okay, that changes you, right? That kid has been changed forever. That entire kindergarten class where their friend was murdered, it changes you, and it changes an entire community, not just this family, right. Everybody who's touched by it. And so that's why I was like, this has got to change.
All right, Nikki, are you ready for my $1 million question? And I'm going to tweak it just for you, because usually I ask my guests, what is an empowered woman? But I will ask you, what is an empowered mom?
Oh, an empowered mom. An empowered mom is one who asks for help, who admits that it's okay that I'm not the perfect Pinterest mom that did the perfect Pinterest birthday party. An empowered mom is a mom who feels good about the fact that they are doing the best that they can. And whatever that looks like, it's okay to not be the Instagram perfect mom and the Pinterest perfect. It's okay. An empowered mom is one who knows down deep that they are doing the absolute best they can. And when they can't, they ask for help. That is empowered. And I wish that in our community, in our society, asking for help was in a better light. I think so many people are like, oh, I can't ask for help because that's a sign of weakness. Yeah. Oh, no, it's not. It's just the opposite. Right. It is a strength because you know where your limitations are. We tell people all the time, build boundaries. You need to put boundaries around whatever it is, whether it's work-life balance, whether it's around the food you eat, whether it's about the exercise, whatever you're putting boundaries around. But yet we just let that all out the window when we become a mom because we expect we have to be everything to everyone. And that does not have to be. It is okay to take time for yourself. And so an empowered mom is one that does that and allows herself to continue to be who she is. Not just Johnny's mommy. Like, yeah, you're Johnny's mommy, but you're also you. You were somebody before you were Johnny's mommy. Why does that go away? Right? It's kind of like that whole marriage thing, right? Well, I'm so-and-so's husband now. Yeah, you are, but you were also an individual before you were their husband. That's right. Or their wife. So you have to really think about how that affects you as a human being because you count, you matter.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. I feel like anyone who listens to the stories behind why you created Yana and the stories after you have created Yana, which you just shared just a little snippet of everything, can't help but be extremely touched. And that's exactly how I felt when we first connected. You were telling me all of this, everything that you just said. And I was like, crap, I should have been recording this for the podcast already. Repeat yourself, which I know you're used to, but it's like, oh my gosh, I wanted to like encapsulate that moment and share it with people instantly. And then a few days after that, or weeks or whatever, I thought, you know what, I'm putting together an event, which I usually do for speakers, and it was going to be around Mother's Day. Everything just came together perfectly. And I was like, I want to use this as an opportunity to fundraise for your mission because you're local, because, you know, I'm so passionate about women and motherhood myself. So I am super excited that you said yes to be part of it. And I'm excited for you to share some of this at the event as well.
Can't wait. I can't wait.
It's going to be great. So for those of you listening, we're going to get together virtually. So this is a virtual event, May 11th. So right before Mother's Day weekend. And I have 12 amazing speakers that are going to be sharing about their motherhood journey and about their empowerment journey, really, and their businesses as well. And a part of the registration fee is going directly to Yana, to the nonprofit. And you also have the option of making a donation on top of that, extra donation. Obviously, people can reach out to you and donate at any time. But for those of you who are interested in being inspired by these amazing speakers and learning how to craft your signature talk as well, I would love to invite you to come. So tell us how to find you and how to learn more information about the organization.
Awesome. Yeah. If you have any questions, you can find us at YANAM2M. So it's YANAM, the number 2M. And the reason that M2M was in there is we were You Are Not Alone, mom2mom.org. So it's YANAM2M.org. We are now rebranding to just Yana, but our new website's not up yet. But that'll point you to the new website even when it does come up. So YANAM2M.org. You can contact us that way. You can send me an email at Nikki@YANAM2M.org. And honestly, like, the best way to get a hold of us is or you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on all of those, LinkedIn, all those things. And if you're looking for a support mom, we are more than happy to give you one. We have about 50 volunteer moms who are ready to support another mom.
Amazing.
If you want to be a support mom, we are always looking for more support moms to put in our bank. And then, monetary donations are amazing and fabulous. And we can't thank you enough for having us on your program on the 11th. We're really excited to be there and be a part of that. But just, awareness and letting other moms know that we're available to them and that we will help them in any way that we can. That's really important to us too. So it's not just all about the bottom line, but it's about helping moms. So If you know of a mom who's struggling and might need a support mom and just another mom they can turn to, please let us know. We want to make sure every mom is supported.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time and your story with us today. This is so great.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope this episode empowered you. And if you enjoyed the show, please join the Empowered Woman community on Facebook and share with friends or leave a review on iTunes so more people can discover this empowering message. Until next time, bye.